The Board of Trustees regular meeting is now called to order at 4:31 p.m. We welcome members of the public. Instructions on making public comment are posted in item 1 on the agenda. We will ask at each item if there is public comment. We have Trustee DeLuna joining online from her location, which is printed on the agenda in accordance with Brown Act rules. As such, I will be taking roll call votes for this meeting. Catherine, can you please do roll call?
There it is. Trustee DeLuna hasn't joined yet, so we'll move on. Trustee Baker? Here. Trustee Dodd? Trustee Kishinev? Here. Trustee Iverson?
Here.
Student Trustee Gonzalez?
Here.
Trustee Rios?
Here.
And Trustee Wilson?
Here. Thank you. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Rios, can you please lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. As we gather today, it is important to acknowledge that Napa Valley College and the surrounding Napa Valley sit on the unceded traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homelands of the Miwok, Patwin, who are comprised of 3 federally recognized tribes: the Kashldahi Band of Winton Indians of the Calusa Indian Community, the Quetzaldahi Band of Winton Indians, and the Yoshadehi Winton Nation, and WAPO, including the Mishawal WAPO, also known as the Onastatsis peoples. As part of Napa Valley College's mission of transforming lives through excellent educational and professional opportunities that are student-centered, equity-focused, and community-oriented, and in accordance with the college's values of accountability, integrity, inclusion, respect, social justice, and sustainability, we make this acknowledgement. We also affirm that this acknowledgement is insufficient. It does not undo the harm that has been and continues to be perpetrated against Indigenous people, the land, and water. May we hold steady in our commitment to be in solidarity and in action to seek equity and justice with the Miwok, Patwin, and WAPO peoples. Are there any changes to the agenda? If there are no objections, the agenda is adopted by consensus. At this time, the board will devote a total of up to 15 minutes to hear comments regarding closed session agenda items. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there public comment?
No, we have no public comment.
Okay, great. At this time, the board will move into closed session covering item 4.1, conference with labor negotiators. Item 4.2, pursuant to section 54957, public employment. Item 4.3, public employee performance evaluation. Item 4.4, pursuant to section 54957, public employment. And item 4.5, conference with labor negotiator. And we will turn around, I'll say 5:15. In closed session, the Board of Trustees approved the following full-time classified administrative assignment: Joshua Graham as Director, Payroll Services, starting February 3rd, 2025. Director of Payroll Services salary will be based on the Administrative Confidential Salary Schedule, Range 19, Step A. The salary will be prorated for any partial month of service. Moving on to public comment. This public comment opportunity is governed by the California Brown Act. By definition, this is an opportunity to hear concerns, perspectives, and differing vantage points. The board is not able, under Brown Act, to engage in any level of conversation or discussion, but we look forward to the opportunity to gather community input. At this time, the board will devote up to 15 minutes to review comment to the Board of Trustees regarding any subject not appearing as an agenda item for this meeting, over which the board has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will occur at this time on such items. Each comment shall last no longer than 3 minutes. Catherine, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is I'm going to spend a few moments recognizing Trustee Iverson for his service as board chair in 2024. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank you, Trustee Iverson, for your leadership and dedication during your tenure as board president this past year. Personally, I'm grateful for the guidance you provided as I've stepped into this role. We have a little gift for you.
Yes.
Thank you, Trustee Iverson.
Trustee Olson, can I say something
Yes.
about Trustee Iverson? Thank you very much for all you've done over the past year and the year previous and your entire, time here on the Board of Trustees. But I know, speaking just very familiarly over the last year, no one has worked harder than you on this board. We're totally on it every single meeting, every single day, getting calls and texts and emails at all sorts of times of the day. I feel very confident saying no one cares more about Napa Valley College students in this institution than you do, Kyle. And while we don't always agree on every single issue, I tremendously respect your values and your passion for this college and everything that you've done for the board and the institution itself. So thank you very, very much.
May I take a second? I just kind of want to echo what Jeff said. He kind of said some of the things I was going to say, but I do want to point out that certainly your dedication and passion to the district, especially the students, was plainly obvious. It has always been while you've been on the board. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Just gonna make one as a product of a community college. It's all of us, all of our admin, classified faculty. Takes a village. So thank you, guys.
All right.
Trustee Iverson, I'm gonna miss our weekly calls. At the very least, send me a text message if I don't get to talk to you. But no, in all seriousness, I really do appreciate your leadership. I echo both comments that were made, all comments. It's been a real pleasure to work with you. You have a lot of vision to pair with the passion as well. And I think this past year, we've really built foundational pieces upon existing foundational pieces that are going to bear some fruit moving forward. And a lot of that comes from just your vision, your thoughtfulness, your willingness to really think outside of the box and then make connections for us from the college. So really appreciate your leadership. Glad to have you continue to serve on the board in your position. And I know that there's more to come. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We now have constituent group reports. Catherine, no reports. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. This is an action item. Do any trustees have questions about any of the items on consent?
No, I will move approval.
All right, Trustee Baker has moved to approve.
Second,
Trustee Rios has seconded. We're going to do a roll call vote. Student Trustee Gonzalez. Aye. Trustee Kishinev.
aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. All right. Yeah, okay, we're on item number 12, student affairs information. Dr. Guerrero?
Yes, so this evening we have our disability support programs and services program here to present to us on DSPS services and Napa Valley College. So I asked Dean Ramon Salceda if he'd like to come to the podium and facilitate the conversation. So, and I think we have a PowerPoint to go with this.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Dr. Guerrero, and thank you, Catherine, for all your assistance. Good evening, Board of Trustees, esteemed colleagues, community members. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting quite yet, my name is Ramon Salceda. I am the Dean of Student Support Programs here at Napa Valley College. And one of the departments that I have the pleasure of working with is our Disability Support Program and Services Department. And within our department, we strive to ensure that students of all abilities have the necessary support and resources to be successful here at Napa Valley College. To that end, we offer an array of services for our students with disabilities, and some of our staff will be sharing some of those this evening. And actually, speaking of our amazing staff, I want to take a quick moment to introduce you all to the folks that do the hard work on a daily basis. It's really, really important. So Catherine, if we can move to the next slide, please. So this is the dream team, the folks that make it happen. So we have our administrative assistant and newest member of the team, just 2 months in, he's a veteran already, Michael Epstein. And we have our counselors, Angie Applegate and Tyler Downey. We have our specialist, Sandy Barros, who's joining us through Zoom. Hi, Sandy. Jen Tronstad. And then we have our all media specialist, Dr. San Lu, and our instructional support specialist, Jason Bell. Tonight, you will be receiving a lot of information. And so we thought it would be helpful if you had a brochure as well to use as a reference. And also if you have any follow-up questions after the board meeting, by all means, we're here to help. So perhaps, Michael, if you don't mind passing those around, please. So given the time constraints we have, now without any further ado, I will pass it on to Tyler. But I do want to take this opportunity also to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to share the wonderful work that our team does. And we really hope that this presentation is helpful.
Hi. Thanks for having us. In March, I will celebrate my 8th year here at Napa Valley College. This is the first time I've been in this room. So thanks for having me. I'm just going to give you a general overview of, you'll hear disability support programs and services. I'm just going to refer to it as DSPS from now on. We serve students from various racial backgrounds, communities, age groups, income levels, and abilities. All of these students are seeking equal access to college education. Number of DSPS students that we serve each year varies, especially since COVID, but we've seen a steady increase, and in 2024, we served 770 students over our non-credit and credit programs. Students are alerted of DSPS services, so how do they learn about us? We do outreach at high schools, we do in-reach at our various programs here on campus, as well as classroom presentations. We always include a syllabus statement that alerts students on every class syllabus of DSPS services that are needed. We collaborate with faculty and staff and other departments on campus so that they know about our services and can refer students to us. And a lot of students hear about our services from other students by word of mouth. New students can also access our website on the NVC website under student services. So when students do learn about us and they know that they need our services, we do what's called an intake process. Students will first apply for DSPS services, and that application is located on our website, but they can also go to our office and any of our staff can help the student through the application. The application is really an application. It's more of just letting our department know who the student is and how to contact them. All of our DSPS staff and faculty are well versed in the intake process, so we can help students through them. That includes the application, getting disability verification or documentation that we need through the Title V regulations. They schedule DSPS intakes. Intakes are done with the DSPS counselors, either myself or Angie. And then the steps after the intake, which would include the student accommodation request that each student needs to complete each semester to maintain their status in DSPS, and have our DSPS specialists send off their DSPS accommodation letters to their instructors. That is the intake process. Services that we provide are disability related and academic counseling, classroom accommodations, which we'll go into more details here in a little bit,
alternate media services, which Jason will talk about, assistive technology, which he'll talk about also, the classroom accommodations, and then the River Trail Village DSPS liaison, which is so all those cute puppies that you're seeing on campus, those are all coming to me. All right, next we have Angie coming up to speak with y'all. Thanks. Angie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angie Applegate. I'm one of the DSPS counselors. I want to talk a little bit today about DSPS counseling and the services we provide to our students. As DSPS counselors, we are considered certified professionals. So that means that we qualify our students for academic accommodations. And we do this based on an interactive process and a one-on-one meeting with our students. As Tyler alluded to, that's our intake process. In addition to our disability-related counseling, we also provide academic, transfer, career, personal, or crisis counseling. So we really try to work with our students from start to finish in a holistic way to make sure that they have all the services that we can provide to them. We conduct outreach to our local high schools and community partners, such as Department of Rehabilitation and the North Bay Regional Center. And we also provide in-reach to our NVC counseling classes. We present to them about our services, and we do flex day presentations on various DSPS related topics, along with showing our presence at any transfer, career related events, employment days. So we want students to get to know us, get to know our services, and put a friendly face to our name so that they feel comfortable coming to see us again. Part of our high school outreach includes visiting campuses and giving informational presentations to our students, along with hosting our DSPS parent webinar every spring. So we try to have students feel comfortable as they're transitioning from high school to college and get to know us before that transition. And we also perform intakes while students are still in high school. So that way they have their accommodations in place before they start their classes. Every summer, we do teach our Counseling 97 class, which is our summer bridge class to incoming freshmen that have IEPs and 504 plans. So again, this is really a good class for students that want to get acquainted to our college and some of the other resources outside of DSPS that we provide, including study skills and some of those basics. But that's a little bit about counseling, so I'll hand it off to our specialists.
Thank you, Angie. Hello, I'm Sandy Barrows. I'm one of the DSPS specialists. And both my coworker, Jen Tronstead, and I, we process all the student accommodations, which we receive our requests each semester. What we do is we receive the accommodation, we send a letter to the instructors to let them know which accommodation applies to which student. Also, the student receive an email confirmation and copies of their letters in case they have any questions. Whenever students might have any issues with instructors or instructors have any questions about student accommodations, they can always come to us. We are able to help them navigate through those accommodations. We also coordinate, we offer ASL interpreters for the deaf and hard of hearing students. And this semester, we're launching our new captioning services. We maintain three-way communication with the students, instructors, and the contracted agency to provide these services. And we're also able to help and provide interpreters for any type of meetings with counselors, for EOPS, in case students need to fill out applications or need to meet with financial aid to fill out a FAFSA or any other event and or activities, as well as for commencement. We also provide our interpreters and our captioners with any specialized terms that instructors are utilizing in the course. We also provide note takers, which they also request on a semesterly basis. And we maintain the communication with all the students, instructors, and volunteer note takers.
Hi, I'm Jen Tronstad, the other DSPS specialist. I'm going to talk about a few other things. So, priority registration. Excuse me. So all DSPS students have priority registration, mostly so that they can, get into the classes that during the times that they do better during the day. And with the instructors, they have preference on, if there's instructors to choose from, which instructor they feel like they might work with better. And so we coordinate that with A&R. Excuse me. We compile a list of the active DSPS students from the previous 3 semesters. Send that list to A&R. They upload that into Colleague so that when priority registration starts, they're ready to go. They can schedule as of or register as of midnight on priority registration day when it starts. For the students who become active after that upload happens, we manually input them as they come in, become active. So everybody's set to go without, there's some glitches sometimes, but usually it's ready to go. We also we remind students that priority registration is coming a few weeks ahead of time via, we do some text campaigns for things like that. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior, we'll send out a text campaign to remind students about that and to encourage them and remind them to schedule an appointment with their DSPS counselor to discuss, make sure their classes, they know which classes they're signing up for, if there are any changes that they need to make with their schedules and so on, so that they're really prepared for the sign in and can register. We remind students to request their semester accommodations via the text campaigns. So we launch an initial campaign a little after, maybe a month after priority registration starts. And then we do it again a few weeks prior to the semester starting to catch the last piece. Because we always have, actually we have students who wait until finals sometimes. So we try to get the most students we can to request early. And we also support the community through various programs. So we have an on-campus credit program, which is adaptive PE. That program this last fall, we had 120 students. The non-credit programs, known as Napa Valley Support Services, we had 96 students this last semester. And the personalized strategies for independence, which is PSI, we had 45. And the main, Sandy and I are the sort of liaisons between the programs in the college. And we make sure that the rosters are accurate. We make sure we have all documentation needed for all the students. And we just keep in communication with the programs.
Good evening, I'm Jason Bell. I'm an instructional support specialist. I work with the alternate media and assistive technology. I'll start with our assistive technology. Oh wait, that's not my tweet notes. So once a counselor has assigned accommodations through their interactive intake process, the next step would be to learn about the accommodations or assistive technology that they were given during that session. Note-taking devices such as our LiveScribe Echo Smart Pen, which has been very popular across campus. I'm sure some of you may have heard about it once or twice. We also have other note-taking programs such as Green, formerly known as Nanosync, and Otter AI. These can be utilized on the students' phones, and they're instructed on how to use them before they're going into the classroom. To that, the Access Technology Center in our DSPS office. Speech to text. These are programs that will pretty much from your voice right now, like say, like Dragon Naturally Speaking is one. And then there's also native applications within Microsoft and Apple, which will instruct and share with the student is not able to work with those. We'll introduce them and get them going with this. We also do text to speech programs, such as Kurzweil. So if that's in conjunction with the alternate media, reach out to the publishers, require a PDF. We'll upload that in Kurzweil 3000. Kurzweil 3000 will read that textbook out to the student. They can highlight, they can have the grammar tools available to them. And likewise too, there's native applications within Microsoft and Apple that are that will read out the textbook and PDFs to alternate media processing. So once the student has acquired the accommodation, they come to us, they learn about Kurzweil 3000, how to work that program. Oftentimes we need that accommodation ahead of time before the semester starts. That's why it's imperative that students come in, they get their services ahead of the semester. That way, when their media comes, it may take 3 weeks to request that PDF publisher and get it processed and delivered. That's essentially assistive technology and alternate. Have any questions? Please. Thank you.
No, we're close to time, so I think we're going to summarize it pretty quick. The last slide, so we're almost there.
So I have another hour and a half. I can see folks are getting hungry. So we do have students that are still in high school that want to take classes here at Napa Valley College or take CCAP classes at their high schools. So the dual enrollment best practices and access, we're going to talk really quickly about this. We have to abide by disability rights law for high school and college, high school special education laws versus college compliance with ADA and 504. We are always committed to serving the students and address concerns. We have MOUs with each high school, and we work with their education or individual education plans and the accommodations that they receive in high school and try to transfer as many of those as we can to the college setting. There are differences, and we try to explain that during those intake meetings. We have as much collaboration with the high schools as possible. With their teachers, with instructors and counselors at the high school, and then as well as the dual enrollment staff at Napa Valley College. High school students, NVC and DSPS professors, all related, are stakeholders. If any student is attending a post-secondary institution at any age, the rights of FERPA have transferred to the student. However, in a situation where students are enrolled in both high school and post-secondary institutions, the two schools may exchange information for the student. So that just makes it easier for the high schools to allow us to have access to 504 and IEP plans so we can qualify them for services. Any questions? We just talked a whole lot.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First question, I'm glad you talked about the high school because I was going to ask about that, but I'm curious if you're able to reach American Canyon, Calistoga, and St. Helena high schools as well as your Napa high schools.
Yes. American Canyon High School is one of my favorites to go to. I wish I would have gone to high school there. We don't get up to Santa Elena and Calistoga. We did pre-COVID, but we haven't reinstituted going back up there yet. It's in the works, though, for sure.
I've also been wondering for a while, if our campus is as equitable as it could be for the disabled community. I mean, are there suggestions or things that we should know about, improvements that we need to be thinking about?
Gosh, what, I mean, I could talk for an hour and a half on that, but there are always improvements that can be made. I think that our team, like Dean Salcedo was saying, our team is very strong here. Our services are very strong. I always tell students in the intake process that our campus is a smaller one. Our faculty know about us. They know about our students. They've been working here with our students for a while, and they know about our accommodations. It's a great place to be.
Thank you
for that question.
I think you. I have a handful of questions. First, I don't know if you want to do them one at a time. I'll just do one at a time. Is there a reason why students have to reapply every semester?
Yes, because they take different classes every semester, and we need to know who to send those accommodation letters to.
Okay. Is there not a way to just attach the accommodation to the student so that it follows them?
Well, we also want to make the students autonomous in requesting their accommodations. They may only use accommodations in one class if they want to. So if they are taking a class they don't feel like they need their accommodations in, they don't have to request accommodations in that class.
Do they get fast tracked if they've done it before? I just worry about kids that, it could be 2 weeks into the semester before they get that set up and then they're behind.
So a student can request accommodations at any point in the semester.
Okay.
Like I think Jen spoke about, there are students that just request their accommodations for finals. So they're not retroactive, unfortunately, so if they request in March, they don't get to take, their extended time on their test from January. But they are able to access those accommodations throughout the semester.
But I guess it's kind of a connected issue. One of the things I would like to see would be to have the application process integrated with enrollment so that there's not a separate process that they have to go through.
Sure.
Just because, and I'm also curious about for kids, I keep calling them kids because that's mine, but for people who have print disability, my son would not be able to use this.
Right.
And so, although we've got the text to speech options for things like textbooks and stuff, do we have that set up for syllabi and other things as well? And just making certain that things that go up on a board, anything that's print,
Yes.
do we have that option? And do they have to, if they have to apply for it every single semester, that can be challenging.
Well, everything that's on Canvas is designed to be accessible. So all the syllabi that are on Canvas, which are all of them, should be accessible.
Any other questions? I have one, a common question. As a mother of an adult neurodivergent son with 3 of these disabilities on the list, I'm wondering what kind of outreach you do for parents for dual enrollment, but also through that transition from high school to the first year of college, and specifically through that first year as freshmen, because I know that even with reminders, he wouldn't have the capability to remember the things he needed to do.
Right.
And so, he went here, he actually went here, and I stepped in a few times when it was almost too late. He barely made it through. But what kind of front loading do you do to really support parents to help support their kids with disabilities?
So we do the spring parent webinar and give as much information during that. So what we've experienced in the past is we go and do the spring presentations in classrooms. And then, the students go home to tell their parents what happened, and they don't have all the information that I gave, right? So then we started doing the spring parent webinars, which we do later in the evening. So when folks are off of work and they can attend, we provide Spanish translators as well for that. And then parents are always able to, with their students' permission, are able to talk to us if necessary. So if parents do have questions, they have access to counselors or DSPS staff to get questions answered.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of you being here and for this great presentation and the work you do.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. We all have a good night.
Okay, we are on item 14, Administrative Services Information. Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, President Olson. It's my pleasure to introduce our Director of Enterprise and Auxiliary Services, Carolee Catalika. Carolee has been running our DAS program on campus for several years. The auxiliary organization performs a very important function in public higher education. And we'd like to take just a few minutes to share with you what we're doing, what we've done, and what we're going to do. Carolee?
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, board. I'm really excited to be here to share the DAS annual report with you. I think we haven't presented this report to the board since before COVID. So this is nice to see you. You have a copy of the actual annual report, and it is very detailed, quite long, covers all the tons of programs that are supported by my office and the auxiliary. So just a few words of orientation. Each program has a spread. It is 2 pages. It includes the mandated information because there are requirements for this annual report. It shows you budget to actuals for the year. It shows you accomplishments and goals. And then we have also included the teams that operate or are the leads basically for each of these kind of co-curricular programs. And you'll see that my team is on my department is on most of the teams, but by far we're not on all of them. And we participate sort of in different degrees. So there's some background about the auxiliary. It's been around since 2013. It was formed by the Board of Trustees. It's subject to the Brown Act. And last June, as you recall, we have a new operating agreement. So next slide, please. So why is there an auxiliary? Nobody knows what it is, what it does, what it's for. It is basically a department or a structure under Ed Code that allows the college to do some things that the district can't. It can operate a little bit more nimbly. It can have its own payroll, its own fiscal system that is not subject to all the requirements of the district. And so it's to support anything the college does and deems is appropriate, but that is not eligible for apportionment. So nothing in the credit, non-credit, not for credit area. But anything else really comes our way, and we've been experimenting with many different programs. Next slide, please. So just back on the teams a little bit, this is my team and the programs that we directly operate out of the Enterprise and Auxiliary Services Office. It's a little bit hard to read, and I have struggled for years with how to succinctly convey this information. So let me know if you have any feedback. Next slide. For all of our programs, we provide support packages, you might say, and most of them avail themselves of all of these tools that we have. So whether it's a small business operation, a fundraiser, an event, an outreach campaign, we have these tools. We do communications and marketing, accounting and compliance, including the 501c3 and governance elements. We have, I think, 25 platforms for points of sale, online stores. We've got a lot of tech. And And then we're expanding more and more in our sort of human resources and payroll services area. If it's a position that is not in a bargaining unit, it is eligible to run through DAS, and sometimes that's a little more flexible and agreeable for grants and the cafe, performing arts center, quite a few areas on campus. So. The chancellor's office, and this is kind of just a reflection of the importance of an auxiliary to the communications, PR, prestige of a district in a community. We are now able to quantify 100% of the non-monetary benefit, that's a lot, of our activities to the district. So every time we send out our winery newsletter or a cafe newsletter, we're promoting the district, we're talking to the community, and that has value. And now we can quantify that and incorporate it into our end of the year financials. So. So that was kind of an overview of the auxiliary, and now I'll give you some highlights and updates on some exciting programs. Food services, just so you know, has cafe, catering, vending, food trucks on campus, and this really cool free dinner delivery program at River Trail Village. Thank you for approving that. Next slide. The dinner delivery program feeds 100 students 4 nights a week, and we're expected to possibly wrap in March, or excuse me, May. And we're seeking to develop a more traditional meal plan for the residence hall. But on the short term, we're making tons of great partnerships with local food vendors. And so far, it's been a huge success as far as we are hearing. Next slide, please. Another really neat program is our Workforce Training Institute. You might remember this back in the day. It was called IBEX, or the Institute for Business Excellence. It's been rebooted. We have a training center for healthcare. We have a training center for public safety. That's currently the Criminal Justice Training Center. And then we have just launched the Wine and Food, possibly the Hospitality Training Center. The name is in development. And showing here are some of the activities that run through there. So Napa CPR does American Heart Association training for, actually you can go to the next slide, we've got a breakdown on that one. We train all the first responders in the Valley, which is one of, I think, the primary functions of a community college, is to support these sorts of efforts in our community. It makes our community a better place. These are also taxpayers and voters. So keeping this in mind and in the forefront of people's minds for a future bond measure is critical. But it's just one of the many really neat community programs that we have. So last year we had over 1,100 students trained, certified. About half of those were trained directly by instructors that we employ, and the other half were through our training sites. We can have a fire and the veterans home, and yeah, just a lot of great agencies. Next slide, please. Another program that is of interest and touches pretty much all across the instructional area is our bookstore. Our faculty send their materials and textbook adoptions to the bookstore. The students purchase them. We transitioned to a new vendor about 1.5 years ago, and there were some hiccups at first, but that's sort of leveling out, and we're expecting commissions to rise to 60,000 in the current year, and ever upward and onward from there. Next slide. One of the board's goals, and I think the college's strategic goals are fiscal stability and efficiency. And so to that end, we're trying to put together a revamped print shop operation. We'd like to go to online ordering. We hope to engage with local offices of education, K-12, individual schools, and nonprofits. And so we hope to generate revenue through increased services to the community, as well as being able to better manage our print shop. So. And sort of the last program in the highlights, and this is mostly a save the date. Viva Mariachi is coming up on April 12th, and tickets will be on sale February 1st. We're expanding our sponsorship program and hope to kind of beat the 35,000 we raised last year. How am I doing on time? Okay. Very quickly, the 3-year snapshot of the balance sheet. We average about $1 million in our fund balance annually, and that's fairly stable. None of these are state dollars. They're all either earned revenue or donated dollars. And our financials are publicly accepted by the board of directors of the auxiliary at its quarterly meetings. Next. So in addition to the big programs, Writers Conference, Mariachi, the cafe, small businesses, we work closely with the Napa Valley College Foundation. They do a fundraising campaign for scholarships primarily and capital campaigns. All the smaller campaigns for the student clubs, student government, athletics, Moja Puente, those all run through DES. And this is sort of a snapshot of last year's starting balance, raised dollars, expended dollars, and ending balance for that area of our operation. Just a short grant report. Last year we raised $34,000 in small local grants. Again, the big federal large grants do not run through DAS. The smaller local ones do. And I'd like to shout out Jennifer King. She has for the last several years really been applying for a ton of grants. And here you can see she has, I think, 13,000 in last year alone for performing arts programs. So lastly, looking ahead, we have our 3 kind of big initiatives. We talked about the meal plan and food services on campus. We talked about print services and adopting the business plan. Lastly is we really, after 12, almost 13 years, need to take a look at how the auxiliary operates, how large its scope should be, what is the appropriate staffing level. We've been in a growth mode, in a creative mode, and I think I get a new program at least once a month, but that's really not sustainable any further. So we're going to take a look with Jim and his team at how it should be structured, staffed, and what are the appropriate services that we provide. So that was a lot, and there's tons more in the report. Does anybody have any questions?
Dr. Trustee Iverson?
I have one. So we're not running the
I believe that we donated the food truck to an elementary school, Carneros Creek, and that they've refurbished it and are using it for instruction, I believe.
Any other questions? Trustee Baker?
this is beautiful, by the way. But
That's all mo.
I have a question though. I'm hoping that you or Jim can walk me through how to read the budget pieces that are in here. Because anytime you see negative numbers, that makes you kind of go, what? So I just, and also I'm curious, and it's all broken out by program, but it looks like in every single program, your budget versus actuals is really divergent. And I'm just wondering what's driving that, and if it's something that should be concerned about.
Okay. I don't think you need to be concerned. Like the cafe was budgeted, you'll see on page 8, cafe was budgeted to lose almost 36,000. We knew we're operating at a loss. It's a service as much as it is a revenue source. And so the actuals there are pretty amazingly close. Where they diverge, and I think you're probably looking at the writers conference in particular. That program suffers from being in July, which is in the middle of, it's 2 fiscal years, as well as they did a massive expansion of staffing for the last conference. So we missed that in our budgeting process, but some of this deviation is also due to the fiscal year accounting process.
I would add, Trustee Baker, that the cafe is a perennial loser for us because you certainly come out of COVID. During COVID, we haven't had the traffic to support the expenses there. It is leveling off now. I think we're seeing that a bit in our DAS meetings, but it's still food service across the campus is still a nut we haven't cracked yet. The writers conference is positive overall from year in and year out. But I think what Carolee is saying is that there's a timing when this reporting was reflected that indicates that they're at the high expense portion, but all the revenues haven't been realized. But the DAS budgets are positive and the fund balance is positive.
Yes, correct. And if you'd like to see the full budget, that is adopted every year by the DAS board, and I can share that with you.
Thank you so much, Carolee. I really enjoyed being on the DAS board list last year and learning about all the extra things that you're in charge of that enhance the student life here at the college.
Thank you, and thanks for your service.
Okay, Mr. Reeves, can you introduce the next presentation?
Yes, thank you, Carolee. I'd like to introduce Chief Wade, Chief Amber Wade, our Chief of Police, the chief and her team do a terrific job. And they have jumped in with both with great energy with our new housing project, and we applaud them for that. Aside from that, Chief Wade has a proposal to look at our parking program. So Chief Wade, take it away.
Thank you, and good evening, board. So you'll see some slides here, but I first want to start with what we're currently doing with our parking now, and then I'll talk about the changes we're proposing this year. So currently we're enforcing parking permits. They're required Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and on Fridays, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're not required on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. Historically, that's been really because we haven't had the staff to enforce parking on the weekends. And so now that we have River Trail Village, we've extended our campus service officers to the weekend to help with that. And so this would be something that they'd have the ability to do on the weekends as well. You'll see the ways that you can purchase parking permits on campus, and we don't see those costs changing a whole lot. It's only $3 to park for the whole day on campus. And then our semester permits currently are $40, and we will raise those to $43 starting in fall of this year. Just to give you an idea, the Chancellor's Office puts out a cap for how much we can charge for parking on campus per semester, and it's $70. So we're pretty far under, and we really don't want to raise that a whole lot. I mean, we're trying to help our students out when they're here on campus. Next. So these are what the parking funds are used for. They are restricted funds. They're used for our campus service officers. Their primary duty on campus is parking enforcement and safety for our parking lots. They're used for repaving and finishing our parking lots and roadways on campus, lining parking lots and roadways, the street signs, also the lighting that's out there on in the parking lots, and then some safety features. So we could use those funds for cameras to put in our parking lots that could help with hit and runs or vehicle burglaries or things that we would have on campus. So why would we propose these parking changes this year? One of the big things that we've come to realize is that it's our students that are disproportionately handling most of the parking funds and costs on our campus. So right now, we don't charge our staff for parking, and we charge our students. A lot of our outside users use it on the weekends, or it's for special events that are on campus, so we waive those parking fees. So I think it's only equitable that we kind of start extending that out to the visitors that use our facilities on campus and ask them to contribute to those. It's no secret that we have an aging infrastructure on campus. We have an old campus. And so with that comes a high cost in trying to, like I said, repave the parking lots, reline them and what's associated with that, along with we're hoping to increase some of the safety features in our parking lots moving forward. And then with this change, we will have some additional ways to pay for parking. So easier ways to buy a parking permit on campus. The two main changes we're proposing this year would be to extend our parking permit being required 7 days a week. So that would be on the weekends as well. And we're hoping to implement that March 31st. And then the other thing is to limit our modified parking requests. To give you an idea about our modified parking requests, so that anyone can go online and submit a modified parking request on campus. Typically that's athletic events or any other student events that we have on campus. But in October, we had 23 possible days of enforcement on our campus, and we received 28 modified parking requests. So we've got a lot of people putting in to have their events be free to park on campus. And that's a little counteractive to, so really it goes back to then really we have our students paying to park on campus and then no one else. So we need to make some changes moving forward. What we've proposed, like I said, is to change to 7 days a week. It's difficult to predict the type of funds that we would raise on the weekends. But what I've done is kind of done a little estimation. So it's not uncommon for us to have like a theater event or a swim meet on campus, and we fill parking lot A. So that's, and sometimes we'll fill parking lot A, B, and C for those events. In parking lot A, we have 345 stalls. So just to fill parking lot A, we would be getting about $1,000, $1,035. So that's a lot when you consider that could be Saturday and Sunday and then multiple weekends throughout the month. So that could raise quite a bit of funds. And the majority of those are visitors that come to our campus and use our facilities. Some of those might be our students that are performing or some others there. So that would give us some additional funds there. And then I think limiting our modified parking requests, and that's going to be, to give you an idea. So I really wanted to put this at your forefront because we will be getting complaints about parking when we start making these changes. And so it's going to be a lot on us to mitigate this, and that's going to be communication. You know, we can, I know I've said this before, we can arrest someone and give someone a parking ticket, and they're going to be complaining more about that parking ticket. That's just the way it is. So I think we just need to get the word out there and help spread it. How we're going to do that is signage. We're going to have a lot of signage on campus. We're redoing all of our entryway signage and our signage within parking lots. So my goal is for someone to park on campus, be able to turn and look and see a sign that says, this is how you purchase a parking permit, and that a parking permit is required on campus. A lot of that will be temporary signage as well, especially on the weekends. We have a campus service officer that's going to be going down to the tennis courts and talking to people. Hey, starting on this date, this is when you're going to need a parking permit. This is how you purchase it. So we'll have little cards to hand out as well. I've already spoken with our PIO office about getting this information emailed out and out on social media. So we spread that word. And then also the first couple weeks, we'll be giving warnings. So we'll give people that, hey, if we haven't already talked to you, this is a warning. You're going to need parking permits to park on campus. And then we do have a deal that we give out currently, and that will continue. And so if you appeal your parking ticket, it's your first one on campus, we give you a deal and you pay the processing fee. So currently that's $4. However, we are going to increase that to $11 to cover the county fees that we have to pay. So the campus isn't earning money on that, but we're also not losing it. And so that gives people the like, okay, now I know I only had to pay this $11. Now I can purchase a parking permit moving forward. This is going to be a real shift in culture. So we have a lot of our community that have used the campus for many, many years, especially on the nights and weekends, and they're not used to doing this. So it will take a little bit of change, but I think it's necessary. And it's going to be that communication out there within our community. Another thing we will work with is Samantha Maddox and facilities to get that word out for our outside users. So emails with them and working with them on easier way to purchase permits. You know, if they're going to have an event on campus and they don't want their users to buy, well, then they can pay for it up front. And we're doing that the same with our campus community. So if certain departments don't want to have their attendees pay for parking on campus, then they can get it come out of their budget. So they can budget accordingly to be like, okay, free parking, but we're going to budget for that moving forward. So I know that was a lot of information quickly. Questions?
Trustee Baker? First, a comment. It's a shame you can't figure out a way to monetize charging people for teaching their children to drive in our parking lot.
Yeah, we get a lot of those.
But I'm just curious. So if we're going to start requiring parking tickets 7 days a week. So somebody's coming to an event, say at the PAC. Have you had any conversation maybe with DOS about including the price of that parking in the ticket to the event so that they don't have to have two separate transactions?
So we are meeting with Matt and his team over in the theater to come up with that, along with Jerry, because those are our two really big things that we have on campus. And one of the abilities we'll have with this new parking program is to have a short code or a QR code. So people can just scan that at the entrance and pay for it right there if they don't want to use our current options, which is Park Mobile or our machine. So it would make it easier. And then I think with the outside users especially, we can work with Samantha Maddox and her team to kind of accommodate those.
Other questions? I have a quick question. How much is a parking ticket?
It depends on what it's for.
Got it.
Yeah, so I would say they go anywhere, I think, from about $50 to $70.
Pretty substantial. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Wade.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're on to item 14.3, unrestricted general fund 11. Mr. Reeves?
Thank you again, President Olson. If I can call your attention to the Fund 11 report. Trustee Dodd has taken the place of his notorious predecessors and looking over my shoulder. So please keep me honest here. This is a report through December 31st, 2024, the second quarter of the first half. So you'll notice the upper right-hand quarter, it says we're at 50% of the budget year. So to take a really quick look and see how we're doing with the budget, look down that right column, column I. It gives you a sense of where we are relative to the budget you adopted. At the revenue side, I would extend a great thanks to all of you who paid your property taxes. We did get our first tranche of property tax revenue in late December. And so you'll see that we're at 47% of our property tax revenue, about $1 million ahead of last year at this time. And total revenue, we're at about 48%. So we are trending reasonably close to budget there, and a little bit, and certainly in property tax revenue, a little bit more than we were last year. On our expenditure side, our salaries, while we have some slight variances here, our faculty salaries temporary trending a little bit up. Our full-times are a little bit down to below budget. But under our total salaries, we're at 47%. or about just, but about $900,000 below what your authorized budget was. There's a footnote here, however, in that you recognize that the CBAs, we have two outstanding CBAs. We have an earmark there of $750,000 in the budget that hasn't been tapped yet. We had budgeted, it hasn't been tapped, but even if it were tapped, we'd be still positive on the budget side. But those are two outstanding questions in the budget. Under employee benefits, essentially the same dynamics is occurring. We're at 46%, so we're $500,000 under budget there, but trending in a reasonable direction. Total books and supplies, you'll notice we have slight variances up. Again, this 147, I feel like I have to explain it to everyone every meeting. It looks big, but the real dollars are very small, $2,300. And that's some one-time expenses related to particular department books. We have a 67% of the budget in looks like instructional supplies and materials. I would offer that while it looks a little bit over, it's still well under the budgeted amount for that period. So those are, when you're seeing that the remainder of the budget, all those over 50%, they are still under budget, if that makes sense to you. So at this point in time, we may have spent, let's say, 83% down under maintenance and repairs, but we're still under the amount budgeted for the year. Much of that is related to timing. So some of those expenses, some of those payments, some of those contract obligations were already paid, and they will not be, that rate of spend will not be sustained through the year. So our total operating supplies and expenses were at 55%, a little bit over. Again, none of those in other operating expenses are over budget, but certainly the variance at this point in the year is higher in a few of those cases. Our other outgo, or capital outlay, is at 45%. And our total expenditures at this point of the year is 46%, or just under $2 million under our budget. So we're trending very positively on the expense side, and we are, and on the revenue side, we're doing very well so far. So with that, I will conclude my report and certainly ask if there are any questions.
Trustee Baker? I'm just curious. I have a question, and then depending on the answer, I might have two. So under salaries, we're over with temporary, both in classified and faculty. Is that because of positions that are open?
It could be that. It could be positions that are full-time positions that are open and not filled. It also could be that we budgeted for X number of full-time positions and we lost one or two along the way, and we're backfilling it with the part-time positions for the short term.
Okay, good. So I do have a follow-up question. So benefits is also a little bit under. Almost to the same percentage. The temporary folks don't get benefits. So if we actually had all of those full-time budgeted positions filled, would that number be over 50%?
Would the benefits be over 50%? We budgeted, when we budget, we don't believe that every single position budgeted is going to be filled in that time frame.
Okay.
So we're a little
So
bit.
vacancy factor.
That's exactly right. I think you probably should do the budget for us next year, Trustee Baker. There is a vacancy factor. We budget with a vacancy factor, but we're very conservative on the vacancy factor, so that if we, in fact, we're budgeting at a percentage below 100%, but if we getting close, we're still budgeting fairly high relative to our historical higher rate. So that we're safe there. But that's a good call, a good look. We do budget with a vacancy factor.
Trustee Iverson?
Where does Bumpy Camp fall on, or Mount Veeder property? Where does that fall under? Is that under rentals, or is there any?
We don't receive rentals for Bumpy Camp. We do for the Upper Valley campus. And that falls under, on the revenue side, under other local income. But Bumpy Camp is an expense today and not a revenue source.
Trustee Rios?
Just if you can take us back to that account under books and supplies, the ones you have to explain every time because it's 147% over, or why isn't that adjusted?
Trustee Rios, when we do the budget, it's a projection. So I'd prefer to carry the projection so that it doesn't appear that we're moving numbers around from period to period. So Trustee Rios, I apologize for the fact that I'll be explaining that for the next 4 or 5 months.
So I mean, if the expenditure there is always more than what we expected, why isn't that just adjusted?
In a new budget year, we will adjust it.
Okay.
But if I were to adjust it now, you might ask, well, where did you go to get that? I know this is a very small number. If I were to be in the habit of adjusting them all because the number is over, then you would rightly ask me, what can I count on?
Well, and I don't mean, every month. I just, because I don't know how far back this goes. I don't recall.
This fiscal year.
Just this fiscal
Yes.
year. Okay. Because
I promise you
recall
won't
if we
see
had
it
that,
next fiscal year.
last year. So I'm thinking if we had it last year, why would?
There will be another one next year. I can promise you that, but not this one.
Right.
Okay, great. I was trying to save you some, time here.
I appreciate that, Trustee Rios.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Item 15, board policy review. This is an action item. Do any trustees have questions about the board policies or administrative procedures, second reading documents? Okay, Trustee Iverson.
Second, Trustee Dodd.
Trustee Dodd. Okay, roll call vote. Student Trustee Gonzalez. Aye. Trustee Kishinev.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion passed. Trustee Iverson made the motion. Trustee Dodd seconded. Another action item, 15.2, board policies and administrative procedures, chapter 4 review, the second reading. Do any trustees have questions about any of these documents?
Move approval.
Okay.
Trustee Rios, Trustee Iverson. Right, roll call vote. Student Trustee Gonzalez. Aye. Trustee Kishinev.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
And myself. So Trustee Rios made the motion, Trustee Iverson seconded. Motion passed. Okay, item 16, President and Board reports.
Good evening, everyone. This is a really exciting week because next week is the start of classes. So we're starting to see students back. As a preface to my report, I'll just mention a quick interaction I had today. I was in the lobby of this building and there was a lady sitting on one of the sofas in front and she was kind of looking around. So I said, hello. She said, hello back. And I said, is there anything I can help you with? And I was so happy to hear her say, no, I'm just here with my son. And she pointed to him standing in the cashier's line getting help. And that's what we're doing, right? We're helping the students and we're helping the families. So that was wonderful. Looking at our spring classes, you can see the enrollment numbers as of yesterday. Classes do start on Wednesday. Spring of 2024, we had 9,831 enrollments and we're up from there. However, head count is not so discrepant. So what that suggests is that students are taking more units. However, we want to take into account that some of our dual enrollment classes are not fully enrolled yet because the schools are back in session this week for the most part, and they've been working on enrollment this week and will continue into next week. So we'll probably see we will see our head count rise, but the proportion will probably not remain quite so different. from the prior semester, this time last year. So as you know, one of our EMP goals is enrollment stabilization. We are on track with that for this coming semester. I also wanted to share some information about locations and modalities. If you look at this, this is actually a screenshot from our schedule. So at any time, if you have an interest in learning about the distribution of courses that we're offering in a particular semester, when you search for that semester and you click on the results, you will see the distribution of classes. And you may wonder about this, the first listing, it says all, and you're like, all, isn't that all? All main campus, and it shows in parentheses the number 182. What that represents is the number of sections being offered at that location. And the reason that we put in all here is previously, this list is sorted by the total number of sections. When you are searching, it's sorted in alphabetical order. So when it was alpha order for main campus, which means in-person classes, that's what that means, 100% in-person classes. Then main campus appeared very low on the list and made it harder to see. So I thought it would be helpful to put it to the top of the list. So you can see in terms of this distribution that the largest single category of classes are in person. We also have a very large number of hybrid courses that meet at least one day per week on campus of 141 sections. We have two main types of online courses, those with no scheduled meetings, also called asynchronous, 135 sections of that, and 38 with scheduled meetings where they are meeting by Zoom at a scheduled time. And then you'll see a distribution of courses at our local high schools and the number of sections being offered there. You'll note a couple of things that kind of look a little bit different. One is the hybrid flexible. What that means is that we meet in the classroom here, but some students can elect to Zoom in, and they have a choice throughout the semester about which modality is easiest for them. And then Chardonnay Golf Club, you may wonder about that. That's our golf team. So our team sports meet out there. So it's, you can see that we have a wide range of classes for our students, and we still do have some classes open. So the sign out front that said spring classes are available is true. We do have a lot of full classes as well. So I think we're at a good balance right now. Looking ahead to next week, we are opening our spring session with Flex Day on Tuesday, starting at 8:45 for a light breakfast. And then Dr. Powell will open with his comments. And we have a wonderful speaker, Dr. Pedro Noguera, who is from USC, who has worked in the field researching public education, equity, and school reform. So he'll be talking. We have the full schedule of our offerings on the website, the Office of Academic Affairs website, and I provided the link there. If there are any sessions that you might be available to come and visit with us, that would be wonderful to see you. So thank you very much.
Good evening, board.
Question, Trustee Baker. I'm just wondering, I've been hearing through the grapevine that the ghost students are still causing problems, and the current issue is that there are real students that got bumped out of stuff because we thought they were ghosts. And so I'm just wondering what the status of that is.
Sure. So every day we get a list. We're partnering with an outside consultant called N2N, which uses their algorithm to test for potential fraudulent students. They send a list to us each day. We code them as ID required, and those students are sent an email saying if we need to verify your identity to keep your account open. In each list, which can range anywhere from 50 to 600, and there's been a day we had over 1,000 coded fraudulent. This has been a daily ongoing effort to ensure that our classes are open for our real students. 3 or 4 days before we went on break, overnight, virtually every class was 100% full. And I knew that wasn't true because we don't have 1,200 enrollments overnight. So we've been cleaning them up. In each list that we get, it's an imperfect system. We're using an algorithm that looks at the highest probability that they're not an actual student. We might have 2 or 3 real students who get caught up in that. And we've had many discussions among cabinet about the relative merits. If we did not do this, we would be excluding all of our students from having spots in our classes. Once priority registration ends, then it's open enrollment. So students can take those seats. So the short answer is yes, there are a few students. It's a very small number of students, and I will acknowledge the incredible work of admissions and records to verify anybody who comes in and shows that they are a real student. They immediately update their account. And there have been cases where a student was registered in classes. We drop them from those classes. Once they get ID required, they've helped them get back into classes. In some cases, it hasn't been exactly the same section that they would have desired. So there is a small cost to it, but it's smaller, much smaller in comparison to what the situation would be. So appreciation to all of the staff who help support these processes.
Can I ask a question too? I saw that we're only offering 2 sections out of American Canyon High School, but we're offering like 7 out of St. Helena and Calistoga. I'm wondering if there a plan to utilize the American Canyon campus more. I know the American Canyon parents are very interested in that.
Yes, Christine Tapia is the director for dual enrollment. And if one of the things that will be very helpful, if there are American Canyon High School teachers who meet the minimum qualifications for any of our disciplines, we are more than happy to schedule a class with them serving in the role of instructor. So if you have people who are talking with you, I'd recommend that you direct them to Christine Tapia. Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, good evening, Board of Trustees and Napa Valley College community. First off, Happy New Year, Feliz Año Nuevo. I think we can still say that, or I don't know. Maybe the time has come and gone. We decided we weren't, sorry, my apologies. So, but welcome to a new year, Napa Valley College, spring 25. Very excited to start the semester off. Have a couple of key points I wanted to talk about tonight. Specifically, I wanted to talk about outreach. We working with Student Affairs Council. We're gonna lean in and make sure we are attending to specific outreach and develop plans for northern and southern Napa County. So it's our goal to address the needs of Valley and also the needs in American Canyon. So this is a priority for us moving into this semester is making sure that we are connecting. We've already begun to do some of that work and connecting with some of our schools, specifically at Valley, but also wanted to include the American Canyon community as well. So a lot of time and attention will be spent on that, and that is our goal by the end of this semester to have a really detailed plan and start that work. So more to come on that, and I'll provide updates to the trustees as we move forward with that. Also, we have engaged in conversations in the counseling department, specifically about having a counseling summit. Counseling summit is going to be in response to bringing our counselors from our local schools and our NVC counselors together to engage in conversation, discussion around how to best support each other so that we can make sure there's seamless transitions between the high school and Napa Valley College. We want to make sure we are attending to any issues and or concerns that might come up from our NVUSD and our Up Valley and American Canyon colleagues, and making sure that we're connecting with them through our counseling departments. And in that conversation that I've had with our Dean of Counseling, we also want to make sure we're including our student affairs staff in that as well, or our academic admissions and records staff in that as well, to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks, and also potentially even financial aid. So that's something that we will be addressing and attending to. We're very excited about that. Also, just a quick update on a winter celebration that we are having. We are having a winter celebration put on by our Dean of Student Affairs, Student Life Engagement, Robin Arcangelo. And we're going to be having this activity over at River Trail Village. I have a handout for you all to check out. This is coming up on January 29th. Between 5:30 and 7, please come on out to River Trail, enjoy an activity around music, snacks, s'mores, park warmer, and a bunch of other things. Again, an opportunity for us to really make sure that we are attending to our community, to our students, and making sure that we are offering an opportunity for us to come together. So I wanted to offer another update on River Trail Village, kind of where we are not. We currently have 155 residents with 8 pending movements for spring 25, so we're excited about that. Also, along with our PIO's office, we are putting together a marketing summit. So this is scheduled for Thursday, January 23rd. This is going to be focused on advancing the marketing and outreach efforts specifically for River Trail Village, and bringing the teams together to think about what we do and how we make sure that we are attending to and doing the outreach and the marketing pieces for River Trail. Operations team continues to meet for River Trail. We met just this morning and really engaged in conversation, discussion around how to continue to facilitate and support our students at River Trail. So this is a huge piece for us. That we do a lot of work in that space. That discussion is every week around supporting our students at River Trail. Also have another handout for you on a paper today. This is around setting the date for the annual Viva Mariachi Festival, which is coming up on April 12th. So just wanted to also just introduce the groups that we are going to have. We are excited to have Mariachi Luz de Oro out of UC Berkeley. They've been here in the past, but they're going to come back. Mariachi Atzlan de Pueblo High School. These are people at Tucson, Arizona. So very excited to invite them and have them here. They are nationally recognized and known for their amazing music. And also we will be having an all-female identifying group at Garfield High School, Mariachi Las Mariposas. So please join us on April 12th at the Viva Mariachi Festival. Again, very excited about that as we collaborate with DAS to put that together and on. So that's concludes my report.
I just had a quick question. Are the summits new? Have we not done that? The counseling and the marketing summits?
As far as the counseling, we've done in the past for bringing those back. So again, really important that we work together with our colleagues in NVUST and our different schools to make sure we're all aligned, speaking the same language, connecting. As far as the River Trail, this is because the project is so new and we're really developing this. And as we continue to build our relationship with ASSA, even it's really about the time is now to get together and really think about and really brainstorm how we continue to do that really important outreach and marketing to our community.
Trustee Baker? First, I'm super excited about mariachi. I am flying back from New York that day. I made certain my flight got back in time so I could get here. But I have a question about the counseling summit that you're putting together. Have you had thoughts, or are you planning to maybe also bring together the DSPS with maybe special ed at the same time?
That's a great, I mean, per the presentation today and some of the questions that I wrote that down. So yeah, absolutely. I think we need to make sure that we are making sure we touch all parts of our community. So DSPS is part of that discussion thought and being very, very intentional to make sure that we include them as well. So yes, that's on the list.
Call your attention to my report posted just briefly, an update on a few of our audits. Our audit of compliance to the 50% law. We had a audit close meeting last evening. Dr. Powell was able to join us. Dr. Guerrero was able to join us. Dr. Morrow was able to join us. I think the report, if you recall, is an audit of 10 institutions across the state to look at the 50% law. I think while it does demonstrate that we have not met the 50% law here at Napa, I think there's some very positive indicators in there relative to the efforts we've made to address that. And I think it will reveal, it is a strong showing about the institution's intentions. It will demonstrate that we have a little work to do in some areas, as many other institutions will see in that report. I'm not sure exactly when it goes public, but we'll certainly provide you with more information and an opportunity to debrief on that 50% audit when it is released. Student housing audit, I believe is completed. I haven't heard anything more from the state office, the state auditor. I'm not particularly concerned about the student housing audit. They were looking at student housing at the UCs, at the CSUs, and at the community colleges. And in light of the fact that our beds weren't warm yet, I don't have any particular concerns there. Institutional technology, I think Dr. Warrenell will report soon. Our TCO and our refresh plan is out on the streets for review, and we anticipate getting some more feedback at Flex Day next week. In addition, our facilities TCO it has been reviewed by our facilities committee and will hit the streets in the next day or two. Our wine education center is, as you know, well underway. You recall that the phase 1 schedule has been moved finish date to July. It is on target for that July finish date. And as you know, phase 2 has been approved, and we are working on now with our contractors, and we're putting together RFPs to make sure to do everything we can to have construction continuous immediately on the heels of phase 1. So that's an exciting proposition. Campus solar solution, we have not lost sight of that. We're still doing some analysis relative to our power cell on campus and how that might work. And then ash landfill, progress is there, but very slow. We seem that the county has agreed to our delineation of the areas that we need to mitigate. So we are working on that final plan, and you'll see more about what that final plan is and the demands for funds to address that. I'm doing everything I can to be sure that we address that reasonably financially, and it may be stretched over a couple of fiscal years so that we can make that work. So with that, I would conclude my report.
Trustee Baker, do you have a question?
Well, good evening. This evening, I would like to share with you that in the Office of Human Resource and Training and Development, we continue the negotiation activity with our constituencies. Currently, we're also busy filling our vacancies as well as focusing on training. What I really want to focus on this evening is what happened on January the 9th in Kentucky in a federal court. In the area of Title IX, under new administration, we often get what is called a Dear Colleague letters. And it is guidance on how we are able to manage our Title IX regulations. Last year, we received a new Dear Colleague letter under the Biden administration. However, a federal court in Kentucky released a decision that effective of that decision, the 2024 Title IX regulations were rescinded, and we were to cease any reference and use of those regulations. We are working with legal. We have been advised any activities to update our board policies to make them compliant with 2024 should cease. And we, until further direction, will be operating under the 2020 Title IX guidelines. This is, for me and for my office, this is really disturbing. The 2024 regs did give more rights and protections in our process in supporting members of our LGBTQ+ community. It also made it where it was up to an organization whether or not we were going to implement a hearing process. And it also gave more privilege and rights and protections to claimants coming forward rather than the respondents. As we're navigating these gray areas for where we're at in the world of Title IX. I'll continue to bring updates to you as we receive more direction from our legal support. But what I can tell you is it is extremely disappointing. Thank you.
Trustee Baker? Charles, I'm just curious, so like federal law, it's always been like, you can do more, but you can't do less. Is there any effort at the state level, or can we make efforts at the local level to continue to offer those protections?
We still have California state law that does give us additional protections, but how we handle our Title IX cases, that is still governed under federal law.
Good evening, board. I'm here to give an accreditation update. First, I want to share with you, and I wasn't sure if Dr. Moore would cover this under her report, the exciting news that last week we submitted the substantive change proposal to the ACCJC for what will hopefully be our first bachelor's level degree program. So that's the BS in respiratory care. So there are other agencies, but step one is underway or has been completed, at least in terms of our submissions. That is really exciting, and certainly was a red letter day for Napa Valley College in terms of entering a different world in a sense. Okay, so Catherine has projected the timeline for the development of the follow-up report for you here. So next month, the complete report will come to you for approval. So we're at about T-30 here, at least in terms of having the report completed, even though we do have until March 1st to submit the report to the ACCJC. So I'm going to just go through some highlights here, starting with where we are. So at the beginning of the spring 25 semester there. So we are running kind of close approximation to the timeline here. I was hoping to have a complete draft of the report by tomorrow. I'm thinking I'll have a part of it, but not the whole thing. So I talked to Dr. Powell about this week, and we're going to roll it out in sections. And there are only two, right? Because there are two remaining college requirements to address. So I am planning so we will go through 3 iterative drafts that are outlined here. So the first draft goes to a small group of those that are most directly involved with implementing improvements and changes to help address the remaining requirements. So that will happen between now and next week, even if it's not by tomorrow. I'll collect feedback from that group and then use that to inform the revision and refinement for the second draft, which is scheduled to go to both the the campus community as a whole, and we're going to be engaging and relying upon our constituent group leaders to help distribute that among their respective colleagues and help collect input on the draft from them. It will also go to 4 of our district committees for input, and particularly to increase awareness or ensure awareness, I should say, among our some of the key players with responsibilities associated with those 2 college requirements. So those are listed here. It's the District Technology Committee, Facilities Committee, Budget Committee, and then the Planning Committee. We'll look at the whole report, so given that accreditation tends to be a planning exercise. So the reason for looping in those and treating, kind of lifting them up in terms of the as reviewers of the second draft is that the visiting team that will come after we submit our report, they're likely to want to interview folks that have been engaged in those committees since last March. And so it's incumbent upon us to make sure that they're aware of all the good work that we've done in that time and are prepared for the interview and are aware of what is in the report. So then we'll collect feedback from the campus community between the time that it's shared with everyone and then February 7th. And then I will compile that information and use that to inform the development of the third draft, which is the one that will come to you for approval on February 20th. A few additional things to note. Let's see. One thing is that and I'll obviously coordinate with Dr. Powell on this when the time comes, is that if there are any we're trying to draft the third draft of the follow-up report that's in such a way that the content will not change. But if there's any additional evidence that could be attached that would be, right off the presses, brand new, we would incorporate that to keep it, get it as up to date as possible. And we'll communicate any changes to the campus community. So that's one thing. And I always coordinate with Dr. Powell on the content and the evidence attached to the report. Just some additional information that's not included in the timeline. Dr. Powell and I have arranged to meet with our Vice President liaison at the ACCJC, her name is Nikawana Shah. We'll be meeting with her toward the end of this month. And part of that is, some of you might recall that between our comprehensive review and our follow-up report from last year, there were some changes among some of the key players on our team. So as an example, there was a transition in the vice presidents at the ACCJC, and that's when Nikawana was assigned to us. Our chair had retired, our team chair had retired. Those changes, well, she's still retired. So the changes have continued along those lines. And so that's part of the reason that we're meeting with Nikawana is to find out what's likely to happen with our team. This happens all the time, right? It's just the world that we live in, and people retire or change systems or that type of thing. So we'll learn more at that meeting later this month. And I think that is all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Robin. Just two quick updates for me. And before leaving accreditation, we've actually, I think, outlasted every member of our accreditation team visit. Both the chair, the vice chair, and one of the key VPs have all retired in addition to the vice president from the ACCJC. So we are just that persistent. I just want to thank members of the board for a very productive, helpful retreat last week. It was nice to see the VPs present on the multitude of projects that we have going and to share with you some of the progress we have made on some of these key initiatives. So really appreciate your time, attention in that space. Just one quick update for me is I'm actually really excited to share that on Tuesday, members of President's Cabinet, in addition to other members of the campus community, took our first collective site visit of a different campus. We went to Cosumnes River College in Sacramento to visit with them to learn more about what they call their 15 to Finish initiative. It's essentially an initiative that they established about 8 years ago, where they're prioritizing student enrollment of up to 15 units or more rather a semester. Their primary goal, of course, is to get students to graduate within the 2-year period. What I wasn't aware of, which was very helpful for me to learn, is that our students who actually enroll in 15 or more units are eligible to receive a pretty significant increase in terms of their financial aid eligibility in one of the state university grants or state college grants to the tune of about $2,600 they're eligible for if they take anywhere up to from 12 to 14.99 units a year. But if they take 15 units, they're actually eligible to receive up to $8,000 a year. So the added benefit is that they become eligible for more financial aid, and they also are more likely to complete much faster. It was very impressive to learn about the initiative. I think of all the data points that were most compelling, the most compelling piece for me was learning that the students that actually participated in the 15 units or more, they did not see a decrease in their GPA or an increase in the number of units that they actually dropped. And so essentially the program is working. They've seen double-digit increases in terms of student success, and they're really working towards closing some of their equity gaps. So we learned a lot in the site visit. We spent about 5 hours with their entire team. And I think a lot of the practices that we were able to learn more about are things that we will directly be looking to potentially implement here at NVC as we work towards creating more velocity for students and improving student success and their chances of getting out of here in 2 years or so. So more to come on this, but really excited about what we learned and appreciative that members of President's Cabinet and other members of the campus community took the time to really dig in on this. And with that, we conclude our President's report.
Thank you all. Standing committee and other appointment reports. We're going to start with Trustee DeLuna. do you have anything to share based on your CCCT board position?
No, we have a meeting at the end of this month. So I'll have a report in February. And I'm sorry, I'm like really sick. I'm working in Bakersfield today, but
Sorry,
anyway,
feel
I hope
better
you can
soon.
hear me okay.
Yes, thank you. DOS, I have nothing to report. I reported last month. BWT, Trustee Rios.
No report.
Okay. Audit and Finance, no report. McPherson or Dr. Etching, no, those aren't happening right now. NVC Foundation, Trustee Dodd.
No report.
Okay. Trustee and board chair reports. Student Trustee Gonzalez.
My report is that ASMC will be holding their winter retreat next Tuesday, January 21st.
Great, thank you. Trustee Kishna.
I have no report tonight.
Trustee Iverson.
I just, again, want to thank you all for the kind words and the recognition this evening, and it's fun serving with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Iverson. Trustee Rios.
No report.
Trustee Baker.
Just want to wish everybody a happy, good start to the semester. And sorry, I won't be able to make it to Flex Day. It's also PD Day for me.
Right. Trustee DeLuna.
No report.
Trustee Dodd.
No report.
I just have one thing to share. We have our 8th annual Black History Month celebration coming up on February 1st. I have a flyer here if anybody wants to see it. I can leave it. I left a stack with Dr. Munsami. She's on our committee and helps us organize this every year. So it's going to be February 1st at Crosswalk from 2 to 5. It's going to be a great event. We hope to see some of you there. All right. Item 17.1, 2025 board meeting calendar revision. This is an action item. Do any trustees have questions about the documents posted? Is there public comment? No, there is not. All right. Do I have a motion? Would you guys like to review them?
Do we have to?
It says on here it's an action item.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Your second, Iverson? All right, roll call vote. Student Trustee Gonzalez. Aye. Trustee Kishinev.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion passed. Trustee Dodd made the motion and Trustee Iverson seconded. Motion passed. All right, information, 17.2, appoint trustee members to board committees. So as we talked about in closed session, we're adding an ad hoc legislative affairs committee, and that will be something that we will talk about, you know, and really spend some time thinking about what our action items are, what our goals are for that committee sometime this spring. And I would like to appoint Trustee Kishnev to that committee. I think this seems like it's in your wheelhouse.
All right, that accept. Thank you.
Okay, and Trustee DeLuna, with your statewide position, I'd like for you to be on this committee.
Wait, which committee was that?
It's a new, we're bringing back the Legislative Affairs Committee as an ad hoc committee.
That's fine.
And Trustee Iverson? Okay, thank you. Next. Audit and Finance Committee. I put myself on that committee. Trustee Baker, I would like for you to continue if possible. And Trustee Rios.
I'm sorry, this is the audit and finance.
Is that okay with you?
Yes, as long as I'm not on another committee.
Okay. You're not on another committee, but you're on a board. So is that going to be too much? I have you on the VWT again.
Maybe because that takes hours
Yeah.
out of my days.
Okay. Trustee Dodd, would you be interested in the Audit and Finance Committee? Okay, great. Thank you. McPherson, trustee DeLuna, do you have enough bandwidth?
No, sorry, not for those. I don't, not right now.
Okay. Okay, trustee Baker, thank you. And trustee Kishnev, I'd like you to continue on the Dr. Ed Shank Award Committee. Okay. So item 17.3, this is an action item. The DOS Foundation, I would like to appoint trustee Iverson.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Oh.
Dodd.
I think I heard Rios's voice. Split second before yours. Motion, well, roll call vote. Student trustee Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Kishinev.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
An aye for me. Motion passed. Trustee Baker made the motion. Trustee Rios and trustee Dodd seconded.
I'm only capturing one of those.
Okay, you pick.
Yes, I'm
No, just
totally
kidding.
agree.
Trustee Rios. Action item 17.4. I would like to appoint trustee Rios to continue serving on VWT. Since it's in your wheelhouse, you've done such a great job the past how many years?
I don't know, 2, 3. Yes, I will continue if unless somebody else would like to step in.
No, I'm just making a motion.
Trustee Dodd, would you like to swap?
No, I'm making a
Okay.
motion.
All right, trustee Dodd made the motion. Second,
Second.
trustee Baker. Student trustee Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Kishinev.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson. Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
And myself. Motion passed. Trustee Dodd made the motion. Trustee Baker seconded. Last action item 17.5. I'd like to appoint trustee Dodd to continue serving on the Nephi College Foundation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Student trustee Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson. Okay, trustee Kishinev.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Baker.
Aye.
Trustee DeLuna.
Aye.
Trustee Dodd.
Aye.
And I for myself, motion passed. Trustee Rios made the motion. Trustee Iverson seconded. Okay, we are almost done. Great. Our next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is February 20th, 2025. There are no objections. The meeting is adjourned at 7:12 p.m.